There's a point at which this whole process becomes just a joke of ramming people through.
I think this kind of rushed rubber stamp President Trump's nominees, many of whom have been extreme, some even objectively unqualified, has diminished the Senate's constitutional duty.
The president has seized on his chance to shape a lasting legacy, many with lifetime appointments. Young, conservative judges across the country who hear important federal cases.
Some 4 years of stacking the courts has sure paid off for President Trump. Just last week, the Supreme Court granted the Trump administration's request to stop the census. Now SCOTUS says it'll consider one of the most controversial issues that could solidify Trump's legacy. I'm attorney Adrienne Lawrence, and I've got the deets on this borderline disgrace. Welcome to TYT Overruled, where you get to be the judge. Your case today? The U.S. Supreme Court said it will hear the Trump administration's appeal on his right to build that border wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Here are the 3 things that you should know before you rule on this case. First, SCOTUS will decide whether Trump overstepped his power by taking money from the U.S. military to fund the border wall.
I will build a great, great wall, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words. I said, you're not going to do it, and everybody told me, this is like the wall. Believe me, we're going to build a wall, Mexico's going to pay for it.
They don't get it, because I'm a business guy. That's what I do.
It's going to be built, it's going to be paid for by Canada, by the way. It's going to be paid for, maybe I'll get Canada paid, going to be paid for by Mexico.
That's right. After spending years telling us that Mexico would be paying for this wall, Trump siphoned $2.5 billion off of our military's money to build this janky mess.
Newly installed portions of the border wall along the U.S.-Mexico line have collapsed.
I would say Mexico's going to pay for it. Obviously, I never said this, and I never meant they're going to write out a check.
You may wonder why there's any question whatsoever about Trump, the president, his authority to spend money on that wall. Well, I'll explain next. Trump is accused of violating the so-called Appropriations Clause to the U.S. Constitution. That clause says that Congress controls how money is spent. That's right, Congress has the power of the purse, not the president. And if you recall, Congress refused to fund Trump's nonsense wall. So whether Trump was out of pocket when he reached into Congress's pocket is the issue to be decided. But it's really not that black and white, after all, given Trump's argument about accessing that $2.5 billion. And that goes to my second point. Trump got his orange, grubby little hands on that $2.5 billion to build the border wall by claiming there was a national security emergency along the U.S.-Mexico border. Remember the supposedly dangerous drug smuggling cartels and caravans that never came? Yeah. Trump is still using that excuse as an emergency that authorized him to take that money from the military. In fact, Trump this year diverted an additional $3.8 billion in Department of Defense funds to the border wall, pissing off Republicans and Democrats alike. Third and finally, you should bear in mind that 2 federal courts have already ruled against Trump, finding he didn't have authority to take the military's money. Then again, Trump taking money that isn't his is kind of what Trump does, right? Well, the 2 lower courts, they said no dice, and they ordered Trump to stop building. But he ran to SCOTUS, the court that he stacked, or one of them, to get approval in mid-2019, and they said, yeah, he can continue building the wall while the appeal process plays out. Per the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency, as of October 9th, 2020, the Trump administration has completed roughly 360 miles of border wall, stretching along 3 states. So much of the damage has already been done. Those are the 3 things to know about this case that SCOTUS is going to decide upon in the near future. But in the meantime, how would you rule on this case? Did Trump have the authority to take those billions of dollars from the military to build his border wall? Let us know in the comments here and across social media platforms for TYT. And also, you can follow TYT and me, Adrienne Lawrence, for more. Thanks for watching.